We are fast approaching May 2022 and Immortal Empires is still not out, and I think it's going to be quite some time till it is, which I actually do hope, because if this bombs then Warhammer 3 is in some serious trouble, so CA, please take your time. However, with more waiting means that you're probably after maybe some new campaigns. But if you're someone new to the series, you're not going to know which is going to be the best game for you. The thing about a franchise being as large as this is that there are so many titles. Some people got into them when they were just a kid, 20 years ago. Other people are just experiencing their first game now. And if you're closer to that side, this video is for you. Now, this is not a tier list. This is not the best Total War games of all time. This is the best games in 2022 for a newer player and what is going to hold up to modern sensibilities, replayability, and just everlasting appeal and experience. And to make things really clear, okay, the bottom tier is unrated, and this is nostalgia porn. Give me some nostalgia porn any day of the week. This is, if you're a kid of the 90s, playing Mario, Sonic, nothing is going to beat it, but if you try to show this to a kid in school today, they're probably going to go, get me my iPad. If you get what I mean, especially playing Total War games that are well before your experience here, you're going to find some controls and quality of life things that you don't realize how hard these games were before these came around. Here we are, the OG Total War games that kicked the whole franchise off, and these are legendary games in their own right. And if you do want to see how the whole series started, if you're a newer player, then they can offer that to you. However, Medieval 2 is that next iteration up, but these games are a bit too far back, in my personal opinion, to honestly recommend. And this whole list is about honesty. This whole list is about me telling you, if you're a new player, you've only played one, maybe two Total War games, what is going to be worth your money, what's going to be worth your investment. And as we go, I'm also going to mention the mods, DLCs, and anything else that adds to them. But in my personal opinion, this is just too far back to hand over heart recommend to you guys to play, because I just don't think it quite holds up, being completely honest. But it is a great game and deserves all the respect, but that is why it is under nostalgia porn. It is there to be recognized for its heritage, but it's not something that I'm going to recommend here in 2022. Next up, we have poor games, and it should surprise absolutely no one that Thrones of Britannia is at the arse end of this list, because Thrones of Britannia is a garbled mess of annoying mechanics and is unarguably the most unplayable Total War game ever. Just don't get it, waste your time, I'm not going to rant about it. Now, Total War Attila is almost the most divisive Total War game out there, and it's got two ranks on here, okay? So, one is the vanilla. If you do not play with mods and you just want to get the one-off game, no DLC, do not get this game. People that love this game, do not play it in 2022. Please find me someone who's streaming it unmodded, uncensored. This game is not fun. For the record, this is my favorite period in history. The fall of the Western Roman Empire, the collapse into the Dark Ages. I absolutely love it, and I've already passed, I think, 4 legendary campaigns in this game, and it's only through grinding out from love of the time period why I've got there. I have a video on the best mods that I think help make this a playable game, and I've even found more mods since. I want to like this game, but this game is god-awful and has absolute garbage civil administration. There's no real diversity between the buildings because you spam the same ones. Battles are good, but you'll be playing the same 3 battles over and over again. So I want to love this game, and my bitterness towards it is because it is just god-awful and garbage in its vanilla state. So if you are willing to apply mods or DLC, you're going to see the second rating up here, and it's going to be much better. And if you want to see me rant more about Attila and why the expansions improved it and fixed the game, there's also another video up here. Being a Total War Warhammer channel, I do eventually intend to cover some more historical content on here, and if you are interested, please consider giving a like or a sub. If you are enjoying the content, it really helps me out. Cheers. Making our way up the list, we now have solid campaigns, and these are basically your campaigns. Once you've worked through the big games, these will have at least one good campaign in them and has at least something to show, okay? So none of these would ever be my high recommendation list, but they are not bad, and I think to put them as bad, I find it a bit difficult to do that. So For example, Troy. Troy was not very inspiring upon release, but I'm telling you right now, in 2022, it is not a bad game. It does require some DLC, maybe making it a bit more expensive and undesirable, but you can play historical, and you can play more character-based, you can play mythical or not, but some of the game mechanics are really inventive, and the diplomacy system is actually awesome with the bartering system, and I hope this is something to some extent that is implemented into the future Total War games, the historical titles that is. As for Empire and Napoleon, I don't have a lot of experience here, but these games still get good traction on their player base. And for all people say that Napoleon is Empire Plus, look on the Steam charts. There is always a good, loyal amount of players playing Empire. In the early stages of the virus, CA gave away Shogun 2 for free, and this saw the player base for Shogun 2 shoot right through the roof. But before this point, Empire was still beating it, and even right now, Empire kind of neck and necks it. So Empire, for all the flack it gets, I don't play it, not gonna lie, but it's a beloved game, and there has to be something to be said for that, given how old it is now. I personally do believe Napoleon is Empire Plus, but this is me just trying to be subjective, okay? Troy, not so bad. Shogun 2, some people would have it up high on this list. It is just not replayable, in my opinion. It's a one and done campaign. The realm divide mechanic is really divisive, no pun intended. I know that you can play around with it, but for its expansion is higher up here, and its expansion, that is Shogun 2 Plus, in my opinion. Next up the list, we have good campaign. Probably should have used a better word than good because we're at the second from the top, but you live and you learn. Okay, so up here we have Three Kingdoms, and we have Attila with mods. Let me speak to Attila first, and I have a video that breaks down why Attila in its vanilla state is so freaking garbage, and why it gets this bottom spot down here, and why the DLC version is so much better. And there's even mods that make the diplomacy from the Age of Charlemagne DLC portable into the core game. If you are going to get Attila, you need to put some time into some mods. They've got some excellent early medieval mods. There is a raft of things to do here, and more importantly, Age of Charlemagne is awesome and fixes most of the things which I do break down piece to piece in my analysis video. And again, this is one thing that you see people actually playing. People still play Age of Charlemagne, people still play this game with the mods. However, this game is not optimized. It has really annoying loading times, but that being said, the battles I think are really good. Sieges, some people say this is the best sieges in the series. I am very inclined to agree with that. So to summarize Attila, mods and DLC, or don't get it, it's garbage. And I know some people sing its praises, but please show me these people that play the game in 22, because I don't think that they exist. Anyway, moving on to Three Kingdoms. Three Kingdoms is, it's not bad. Honestly, it's not a bad game. It's definitely not going to get a best slot because there's a ton of DLC. It's expensive as they go. It didn't quite get the life cycle it probably should have. Maybe if it had got all the extra support that it needed and expanded on, it could have got up to this next echelon up here, but this is where she's going to lie. This is where games go to die, and let's just hope that Warhammer 3 hits it out of the park with the Immortal Empires expansion and doesn't end up in here, because as frustrated as we all are, that's not what we want. We want Warhammer 3 to be just great. Now up to the top line, we're going to do this one in a couple of chunks. Let's kick off with Medieval 2. Now, why is a game this old still relevant in 2022? Well, it's actually still got quite a sizable player base, and it's got one of the best modding communities. It is so beloved because for a game to be this old, still this good, it has no right being it. It's so moddable. The modders have had an absolute field test. It's got great community behind it. There's so much you can do, and you can even try to take on Middle-earth if you are so inclined. Moreover, there is so much diversity in the factions in this. You have different religions, and unlike Attila, the religions actually feel like they do something. This game has no right still being this good. Again, if older games bother you, things like graphics, quality of life is going to be an issue for you, then perhaps maybe you want to steer away from this, but I do recommend it as being at this point in the list, probably the 4th Total War you should play, because this is such a big part of the Total War history. If you want to really see where the nostalgia bunnies get their buzz from, this is where to get it. It's actually a really awesome game, and you can really see the vision. Next to it, we have For the Samurai. This is Shogun 2 Plus, in my opinion. All the dullness of Shogun 2's lack of variety and what I believe to be unreplayability is basically just dialed away with this. You have so much more depth, a few quality of life changes, and just it's kind of like the Age of Charlemagne factor. Some actual thought went into some of the building and civil design as well. So I really, really recommend this. It is an older title, I do know, but it still stands up in my opinion. I think that this version of the game makes the regular Shogun 2 virtually redundant, but if you do love that feudal Japanese feel, then yeah, check them both out. Second last on the list, and almost certainly controversial, is Rome 2. Oh my god, okay. Yes, this had a shaky launch, but we need to move on, people. This is about giving people advice in 2022. Where is your money and time best spent? And the reason why this comes up here is, yes, the core vanilla campaign is very easy. Even on Legendary, playing as Rome is an absolute joke. But this game is fun and it is engrossing. And those are two very, very important characteristics. You might be a long-time fantasy fan that's maybe thought about history being cool, but honestly, playing any game where there's Rome as an element is something that really enamors and brings a lot of people into the history fandom. And this game could be that for you. So if you've only played the Warhammer games, give this one a go. It doesn't need any DLC to at least have a fun vanilla experience. It has been updated incredibly over the years. They ditched Attila and a lot of other things, but they've still kept on reinvesting in Rome 2 because it gets reward. They keep on getting the return on the DLC. Speaking of which, is once you've played that very easy core campaign, you can play as the other races, and there's some good diversity as well as some really great DLC. You can, through some of the biggest highlight points of the Roman Republic and Empire period, there's just a lot of fun to be had, as well as some excellent mods. I should do a video on that as well, but some of the best mods, in my opinion, of all of Total War are tied to Rome 2. Rome 2 gets a bad rap, way worse than it should, and in my opinion is an excellent game that still does hold up in 2022. If you've only played Warhammer and you want to maybe get your toe dipped in history, give this game a shot. It is a lot of fun, and just rolling around with Roman legions, it never gets old. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for putting it up here, but as I said, this is a buyer's guide for 2022, and I feel very firm about this being a second step in your Total War journey if you've only done Warhammer. Now, last and certainly not least, because it's the top spot, we have Warhammer 2 Mortal Empires. I have not rated Warhammer 3 on here because it's my opinion, it's not actually released yet. We won't know until the Immortal Empires game comes out. Yes, HCA, incomplete game, all that stuff. We can say that, but the truth be told is if this list is done in a year's time and Warhammer 3 hits all the hits that it can and is the home run we hope it is, well, let's face it, we're gluttons for punishment. We'll probably forgive them, get over it, and then Warhammer 3 will hopefully get this slot because Warhammer 2 Mortal Empires is the best the game series has ever been. I will die on that hill. I know some people hate fantasy. I just don't understand. They take it out on the Warhammer games, I think, maybe a bit too much, because as Total War games, this is an excellent game. There's endless replayability. Campaigns do not get stale anywhere near as quickly as they have in other titles. Even the Vortex campaign in Warhammer 2 pales in comparison to Mortal Empires, which, I mean, I'm usually up to at least turn 80 before I start getting really bored, which is unheard of in a Total War game, to be honest. I can quite happily play all the way through to 120, 140 turn completion on Legendary, and I love it. And that's the thing also, the scaling of difficulty, as much flack as it gets, Legendary difficulty on Warhammer is actually really, really fun in my opinion. And if that's not enough replayability, you have a multitude of factions, races, and hopefully this only continues to grow. My channel is oriented around Total War Warhammer, but if you are a fantasy player and you haven't taken the dive yet, I promise you, see this on special and just dive in, even just get the second and first games, hop into Mortal Empires as the Empire and just let the good times roll. It is so immersive, so well done. There's so much character and mystique and just energy oozing from that campaign map, and I can't recommend it high enough. Even if you're history only, see it as a Total War game and just try to enjoy it, man, because trust me, I'm a historical fan as well, looking forward to Rome 3 and Medieval 3, but the strides that this game has made in terms of innovative mechanics and just differentiation between the races will be turned into different mechanics in Medieval 3 and Rome 3. This has been a great staging ground. It's going to help propel the series to new heights, and that's why currently it's getting the #1 spot. I do hope Warhammer 3 can basically take that title from it. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please consider giving a like or subscribe. There's Discord down the bottom. Do you agree with this list? Do you disagree? Please let me know down in the bottom what you think is the biggest misstep in this list, or which ones you think are the most recommended for new players and the ones that you would most least recommend. And that's it from here. Elven Plot Armor. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.